I created this video in order to show you some of the tricks or some of my habits I will be using during the course, what text editor I use and how I browse through the directories and how I deal with the history. This will help you keep the pace and understand better what I will be showing you throughout the course. First of all, the text editor I use is Nano, and this is only a matter of preference. Others use VI or VIM, but I prefer to use Nano. And in order to use Nano, you firstly need to install the package called Nano. So if you want to open up a file, you just type Nano and the name of the file. And you can also use the tab key for autocomplete. Now that I'm in the file, I can modify it as I wish. And if I want to search for a specific string in the file, then I press Ctrl W and the string I'm interested to. And it says not found. Then let's look for another one. And if you press Ctrl W again and enter, it will take you to the next occurrence in the file and so on. And then it starts from the beginning. And Ctrl X to exit the file. But now you are prompted to save the modifications you have made. And if you press yes, then you are able also to change the name of the file. If you want to save the modifications you have made under another file name, you can change it here. But if you don't, just press enter and you exit the file. Now Nano is useful if you're looking for a particular line in the file. Sometimes you get an error when configuring a program that a certain line in the configuration file is invalid or syntax is wrong. And then you can access the file with nano-c option and the name of the file. And you get the line number displayed at the bottom of the file. And thus you can search for the line you're interested to. And you can also go to the next page with the page down button and page up button if the file is larger. Another thing I use is Midnight Commander or MC. And as with Nano, you need to install the package. It doesn't come installed by default. And Midnight Commander, it's for browsing through the files. It's a visual file manager. And you can also use the mouse, not only the keyboard, to browse through the directories. And these two dots here means the parent directory, or somehow is the equivalent of the up button in Windows. Now, if you want to open a file in view mode, you press F3. So at the bottom of the window, you can see that there is the menu, and you can use F3 to open the file in view only mode. And you can search for a string also with the F7 key, as it says here. And it usually displays the last string you have been looking for, but you can delete it and search for whatever you want. Let's say I'm searching for log now. And if I press F7 again, it will take me to the next occurrence until it reaches the end of the file. And then you are prompted to continue from the beginning. Now, if you want to quit the file, you either press F3 or F10, and both work the same. And if you want to edit the file, press F4. And this will open up the file with the default editor. In this case, it's Nano. Now, if you want to select more files, you can use the Insert key. And once that you have selected some files, you can then go to the menu by pressing F2. And for instance, let's assume you want to archive those files. you have this option here to gzip or gunzip the tagged files. So all the selected files can be archived in a separate archive or unarchived if they are already archived, as they are in this case the aptitude one gzip and the other two, this one gz. These are going to be unarchived in case they are already archived, but all the other ones are going to be archived, and it will create a separate archive for each file. So not one archive for all the files you have selected, but a separate archive for each file you have selected. Now if you want to send MC in the background and use the terminal, you can use Ctrl+O. And you can type whatever you want in the terminal. But one thing that is specially with MC is that it has a history on its own. So if I press here something, whatever, and then I press history, it will display all the commands run when MC was running also in the background. Now that I quit MC and run again history, now I have another history that doesn't contain the commands run when MC was running in the background. Sometimes I'm looking for a command in the history and I don't find it, and I'm sure that I have run it just a few moments ago. And then I realized I have running it by having MC in the background. So then I should look for that command in the history when MC is running. So I just open up MC again, Control O to send it in the background, and then I look through the history for the command I'm interested in. So MC has a history on its own. So you should keep this in mind for future use. Now the history command. It's used to display all the commands you have entered, but not the output they produced, only the commands. If you want to look for a specific command in the history, use history pipe grep and the command. Let's say log rotate. Or grep ls off. And it will display all the commands that contain that string. Another useful trick I use is reverse search. But let me clear up the screen so you can see better. So Control R, it's the reverse search. So if you're looking for a command from the history to reuse it, you can search for it with the reverse search tool. Let's say you want to you are searching a command that contains log rotate. Then it displays you the last command. It contains log rotate, and if you press Ctrl R again, it takes you to the previous one if exists. But let's look for another one that is more frequent run, and press Ctrl R, and it takes you to the previous one and previous one. And if you have found the command you want to run again, you just press enter and run it. But if you don't, you just press Ctrl+C, Ctrl+C to break the reverse search tool. Also, if you know that you have run a command just recently, you can use the upper arrow to browse through the history. But this is only useful if you know that the command you have entered, you have just entered a few commands previously. Otherwise, it's not worth using it. Now, for example, if you misenter the password in the prompt, then you want to make sure it doesn't stay in the history so that others can read it. You can delete a particular line in the history with -d option. So let's assume you want to delete this line, ls off -eu Carmen. I want to delete this line, and I can do this by running history -d from delete and the line number 506. And now if I run history again, you see that that line 506 is not the same anymore. Also, you can enter commands without having them saved in the history from the beginning. You can enter a command with a space before it. And let's say that I'm running just an arbitrary word. And if I run history, you'll see that that line is not there. And why is that? Because I have set history to ignore all the commands that has a space before them. And you can also perform that by setting hist control ignore space. And if you did this, then you can run commands with a space before them, and they are not going to be saved in the history. So these are a few tricks and tips I use when dealing with Linux commands, and I hope you will also find them useful.